Hi, Sue Wilson back again today, and something a little bit different for you. Just when you think you've seen all my cards with layers and layers of die cuts and flowers, I throw a little slider in. Just something a little bit simple. It's even a smaller card than I usually make. We're using our vintage dress forms from the Creative Expressions set. And for the dies that we'll be using, we have the California Collection decorative frames. And I just want to use these to die cut my focal element because it's so pretty. I'm also going to be using the California Collection border, corner, and tag. We're going to be using specifically the tag from this collection. And out of the California Collection, again, the Hollywood, but I'm just going to be using the cutting die on the outside for this one, okay? So let's start. We're going to do some embossing on our background, and I am going to be using the Couture Creations Extra Confetti folder. Now this particular folder is what I call kind of an organic pattern. It's not repeatable exactly, but I'm going to show you how you can do it. It's very, very simple to do. I've got a piece of ginger colored card here, and I'm just going to go and put it through half the folder, and it's just a little bit too big. So we'll do one half and then the other. And I need my base plate. Put that on there. And I'm going to be using an embossing mat and the white adapter plate from Creative Expressions for this. So let me run this through. I've got one pass through the machine. And like I said, it's kind of more of an organic pattern. So what I'm going to do is line it up right to the edge of the folder, close that folder. I'm going to stick it to the edge of the gray base plate and put my tan mat right up there. So the part that we've previously embossed, we're going to leave hanging over the edge. And then just carefully feed it back through the machine. And you can see, you can get a nice, completely embossed edge this way. You've got a tiny bit of a join, but because the pattern is actually quite swirly and whatnot, you don't tend to notice it. And if you use the design of your card to cover that point, it won't show at all. So I've gone ahead and put a mat together with some gray pierced cardstock. I've got a little black mat. We'll use some Cosmic Shimmer Dries Clear Glue, and we'll mat this on top of it. In fact, let's get a little in those corners there. Pop that into place. I've used a strip of the decorative cardstock from the Teresa Collins paper pad, the 8x8 size. I'm going to go ahead and put some Cosmic Shimmer Glue on that, and we're going to mat that across. So that'll cover a portion of that right there. And right about there looks good. So I've got the base of the card already finished. So let's do some further cutting. I've stamped my dress form from the vintage dress form collection. Now this is available in an A5 size stamp set where it's got the full designs with it and you have to cut it out to mount it. It's also available in one of our singles range, which is already mounted for you. So it's your call, whichever way you like on that one. And we're going to use the second size on the decorative frames in the California Collection. Tape that into place. And I love just the way it looks around a stamped image. It's not too detailed to really overwhelm it, just enough to give it a nice look. So I'm going to leave that there and put that onto my cutting mat. And I think I can probably even do the tag at the same time. Let's do that. Now this phrase comes off of the stamp set. It says très chic. So we use the California Collection to cut the French. I think that works. Pop that into place. Let's run these through. Now let's just check and make sure we've got all the pieces cut we need. That looks like it's cut well. That could use one more pass through, but I'll tell you what, I forgot one more border, so that won't be a problem. We'll add that in right now. The outside of the Hollywood collection is what I'm going to use to mat this with. So we'll just pop that through with that second run. All right, let's check these. Looks good. That one looks good as well. And I tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to just give them a quick emboss. So let me bring my emboss mat back in. Lay that over, make sure all my dies have stayed inside the die. And my pink embossing plate. And we'll run it through the grand caliper. Your embossing will really give you a pretty look on your card, so it's worth the extra step. Okay. So I'm going to do some inking, so I'm just going to take the leftover bits out. There we go. This one doesn't need inking, so that can go back. We're going to ink around that one. I've decided to use some Weathered Wood Distress Ink by Tim Holtz, and you just want to make sure that your tape doesn't go into your image there. Just get a little bit on there, roll it around, get kind of a circular motion going, and that'll distribute the ink nice and smoothly. And sometimes you'll think, oh, you're not getting much ink on that, but you'd be surprised how much actually goes on to the image. So always go lighter, and then you can add more if you need to. Just work it all the way around, as heavy as you like. I like to put a little more in corners myself. It's a personal preference. That looks good. Now let's do this one. I think framing the sentiment with some ink is very, very pretty. That looks nice. Now I'm going to add a bit more ink to my dress form, but let's set this one aside. And we can poke out the little pieces with a pokey tool. This tag is absolutely beautiful. And I'm going to put a little piece of mounting foam on the back and get it ready to go. There we go. Set that to the side. Now, I'm going to pop this one out, and let's just remove that. I always try to keep up with my dies and put them back. What I want to do is add a little bit of distress ink to the vintage dress form there. I've got a couple of colors here. I've got the Wild Honey, and I've also got a tea dye and a Rusty Hinge. So in order to match this color really nicely, one of the things you can do is you can take your craft mat and you can put a little ink on it, and you can do that from either a distress pad or you can use a marker and just put it on like that. And you can mix your colors, and don't worry about picking it up with another color. You can just pick it up and bring it in and add it to your tip, because these are water-based. You can just clean it really, really easily. Just going to put a little bit around the edge, picking up some of this, seeing if I can match that color up nicely. Just a bit extra. And if you want to use a bit of your cut and dry foam, you can even pick up some of that on the tip of it and bring it in the center of your dress form too. Just give it a light shading. That looks good. I like that. So I'm going to add some mounting foam to the back of this piece, and we're going to mat and layer it up here. And you'll see how pretty this looks together. Just got a really pretty decorative edge that goes all the way around. I love the way it comes out. Some mounting foam here, so we can add it to our card. And that will go right where the join is between that embossing folder we used earlier. Now I do have some swirly rhinestones I'm going to be using, and I'm just going to peel them off. They come on an acetate sheet so you can cut them. I've actually trimmed these down a little bit, so I've just used a bit of it. And just peel them back. A little bit of a learning curve on these. I always say this, if you just go slowly and just kind of let them fall into place, you can get them to go wherever you want them. So I'm going to have them kind of go up that strip and fall right about here. And if you don't like where they are, you can gently lift them back up. Let's try it like that. So that puts that right there. I've got my tag. I'm going to add that on here. I'll tell you what, I'm going to raise that up just a little teeny bit more with another piece of mounting foam. Add that down in my corner. And what I'm going to do is I've cut a little bit of ribbon here. Actually, it was just a leftover piece I had, roughly into two circles, one slightly larger than the other. And what I'm going to do is use my heat tool and kind of melt the edges of it. So if you get your heat tool going, so it warms up a bit, and just kind of play with it. It takes a second to get it going. And you can see it starting to move as soon as it gets good and hot. This is perfect to do when you've got some leftover bits of ribbon. It's a very quick and easy flower to make too. This is a rather thick satin, so it does take a second, so you have to be patient. Let's see if I can lift this up a little bit for us. There we go. You can start to see it melt now. Just kind of crimples a little bit. There we go. Get a little bit of a wave to it. In fact, I think that'll probably work right about like that. There we go. So now I'm going to give that a second to cool. I'm going to find a little glue dot, and we will take that and put a glue dot in the center, just like that. And I'm going to just pop this thing right in the middle of it. Give it a good squish. And I like to kind of gather it a little bit at that point too. And I've got some black pearls here. I'm going to put that in the center of it. So we'll take that stick pin out, add a little teeny drop Cosmic Shimmer glue. And I'm going to take one of the 5mm black pearls, seat that right in the center there. Okay. And I'm just going to put that onto a little piece of twine. I don't want it to overwhelm the card too much, so we'll let's use this one. Put a glue dot on our twine. This is just natural twine, natural jute twine dyed black. And get that right there. Pop that in the corner. And one more glue dot. Put our flower into place. There we go. Now I know these are really unusual colors, but I just love the way they look together. And you know, every once in a while you want to do something that's just a little bit different, and I think this one fits the bill for that. Hope you've enjoyed the card.